So we're here, it's Monday, obviously a week from tomorrow, we go to the election booth, but it's kind of wild, folks. Already 30 million people have voted, early voting. And the reason why I'm even saying this is I like to keep you up to date on everything that's going on. I just saw this video, it's wild. I didn't have time to put it into the system. Let's see if you can see this though. But this is a ballot box in Vancouver, Washington on fire. And apparently this is happening in a lot of places. Literally that ballot box is on fire. So what happens? What happens to all those votes? I don't know. I'm saying it's starting early. It's starting early. And again, they started this. You want to know something? The left started this when in 2020 when they decided to change all the rules about how you can vote, get an early ballot. Normally, you're not allowed to do it. You go and you wait in line like everyone else on election day, unless you have, you're overseas for something, for a job, or in the military. But normally, you just wait in line. But somehow now, in 2020, where they've changed all the rules, and I've been imploring the right, the conservatives, play by their rules. We want to say they cheated. I don't know if they cheated. They cheated. Okay, they cheated. So what? Cheat with them. This whole idea of the tush push or when the Philadelphia Eagles are 4th and 1 and they get the whole team behind the quarterback and they push them 4 yards, it's cheating. But they're playing by the cheating new rules. So everyone should be doing it. Do it. Do what they're doing. Play the game. I don't know, someone burning ballot boxes. I'm not suggesting you do that, but I'm saying if you can't make it to the voting booth on election day, send it in. It's not just for them to do, it's for us to do too. Anyway, all right, let's get into today's show. Can someone please check on this woman? Remember her?
What a great honor to be able to introduce for the first time ever anywhere the 45th President of the United States of America, Donald.
I was there. That's Inauguration Day in D.C., January 20th. Wow, what a spectacle that was. I can't get enough of that clip. And if that woman's got her voice back after these 8 years, she may need to dust off those pipes, because I smell a 2024 win by Trump. Again, nearly 10 years after Donald Trump came down those escalators at beautiful Trump Tower in the middle of New York City. Trump went deep in the heart of blue, the deepest blue, by the way, and he won over New York.
We gather here today in the middle of Midtown Manhattan, and this is the most iconic venue of venues in the United States. This is where a Republican's not supposed to come, which is why Donald Trump came here. There's no place in America the president shouldn't be able to come.
Not only that, that is an iconic, unbelievable venue, 20,000 people inside. And I heard, and we saw the pictures, there may have been 50 or 60,000 people outside. That's, again, it's 80,000 people in a city of 11 million, including the surrounding areas. Not a lot, but the point is, I don't know if Kamala Harris came to, one of the more red venues in the country, whether it's Texas Stadium, Arlington, Texas Stadium, or if it's somewhere in Florida, maybe not Miami, but maybe the Panhandle of Florida. I bet you she wouldn't get a crowd like that, but you had to see it to believe it, and we did. Lines formed in the cold of the night. The night before, the buildings surrounding Madison Square Garden were adorned in red, white, and blue. It was a beautiful thing. Thousands upon thousands of Americans whose blood also runs red, white, and blue were there to be a part of the MAGA movement, and it is a movement. And the speeches, yes, the speeches, this rally had nothing to do with any of the legacy media, what they love you to believe. And here's why. I'll show you something very, very interesting. This was the pinnacle of a movement.
They have no idea why people like Donald Trump. And their first theory was, well, Donald Trump is evil, so half the country's evil also. And that's one of the reasons they spent the last 4 years trying to destroy the country, because they're mad at its voters for liking Donald Trump. How much easier would it have been just to pause for 20 minutes and ask yourself honestly in some silent place, why do people like Donald Trump? And if they had been honest enough to ask themselves that question, they would have come up with the two main reasons, and here's what they are. The first reason that people like Donald Trump is because he likes them. That's why. And it's real. Affection is something you can't fake. I don't care how many times Kamala Harris would tell me she loves me, I don't believe her. I saw her kiss her husband with a mask on. A mask on. That's her version of love. It's fake, it's not real.
So a couple of things about that. First of all, I'll get to Tucker's comments in just a second, but I found it wildly fascinating. Again, legacy media, Fox, MSNBC, CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, and some of the print media, they're becoming the dinosaur. Fox took Tucker's comments. Remember, Fox fired Tucker about a year and a half ago, got rid of him because of Dominion, we believe because of Dominion lawsuit, but Fox took those comments in full, all 9 minutes of it. Getting to Tucker's, that was fascinating to me, just a side note. Getting to Tucker's comments, he's right. There's something different about MAGA people. There's something different about the people who are in that crowd, and the people who are following Trump were part of the MAGA movement, and the left just doesn't get it. Hillary Clinton famously called us deplorables, whether you're a Trump person or not. If you were voting for someone who wasn't going to be a liberal, you're deplorable, and they really believe that. The nasty names that they called the people who were at that rally last night at Madison Square Garden, it's unbelievable. They don't understand that the vast majority of the country are those people in those stands, people who are watching. These liberal elites, they're elitists. They think they're smarter and better than everyone else. And if you don't follow them or aspire to be like them or believe in what they're selling, then there's something wrong with you. You're some sort of degenerate. Well, guess what? If that's what a degenerate is, then I'm a degenerate, because I don't want to be one of them. I'd rather be one of the people who are in those crowds who are listening to Donald Trump say the flag matters. One of the people who say, no, I don't want men, transgender men and women's sports. No, I don't want tampons in the boys' bathroom of the high school. Call me freaking crazy or call me a degenerate, but that's where I am. And I think most of the country is that way. The problem is when the way the Electoral College is set up, there's so many people in California, New York, and Illinois. They got a lot of electoral votes, even though most of the country doesn't believe in that. But anyway, Tucker was right. He drives the left absolutely bonkers, and so does Trump. How is President Trump so loved by so many Americans when he doesn't talk down to them? That's what they do. Well, Trump doesn't demean us. He doesn't downplay our suffering or distrust. He loves America and Americans, but also because America is just a better place with Trump at the helm. Vivek Ramaswamy explains it perfectly.
If you want to seal the border, vote Trump. If you want to restore law and order in this country, vote Trump. If you want to grow the economy in this country, vote Trump. If you want to revive national pride in this country, vote Trump. If you want to stay out of World War III in this country, vote Trump. If you want to make America great again, vote Trump. I'm going to give you one more reason to vote Trump. And it's this. It's the one the media in the back, they won't talk about this. But they know it to be true. Donald Trump is actually the president who will unite this country.
Yeah. He will unite. And it's right. Vivek is absolutely right. And that scares the living daylights. That scares the crap out of the left, doesn't it? If we're divided and if we hate each other, then we can't unify against a corrupt government. Saul Alinsky said it, rules for radicals, communists. That's what you do. First you divide and then you conquer. That's it. That's all that matters to the left. Power, control. It's easier to control a divided mass than a united one. That is absolutely for sure. It's easier to control people who get things based solely on the color of their skin. But Vivek hit it out of the park by pointing out the wokeism and how a Trump presidency will actually fix what's broke and woke.
We're in the middle of a national identity crisis. Faith in God, patriotism, hard work, family. These things have disappeared only to be replaced by wokeism and transgenderism, climatism, COVIDism, depression, anxiety, fentanyl, suicide. These are symptoms of a deeper void of purpose and meaning in our country. And right now, we need to step up and fill that void with our own vision. Answer, what does it mean to be an American in the year 2024? It means we believe in the ideals of 1776. It means we believe in merit, that the best person gets the job regardless of their skin color, that you get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character and your contributions.
Vivek crushed it. Vivek, man, you've known him a long time, good friend. Keep your eye on that guy. He's brilliant, number one. He's made tons of money, doesn't need to do this. He's doing it for the right reason. He wants to make things better. Keep your eye on that guy. He's moving straight up the left. In fact, all of the new people surrounding Trump right now, these are really, really good people who've realized that the left is out of touch, off base. So you have a Vivek, you have Tulsi Gabbard, you have RFK Jr., you have Elon Musk. Here's Tulsi.
Now, this choice that we have before us is very personal to me. I'm a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve. I've served now for over 21 years. I've deployed to different war zones 3 times over that period, and I've seen the cost of war. For my brothers and sisters who paid the ultimate price, I carry their memories and their sacrifice in my heart every day. So this choice that we have before us as Americans is critical. It's important to us. It's important to those of us who serve, who have volunteered to put our lives on the line for the safety, security, and freedom of our country and our people. And it's critical to all of us.
Great addition to the Trump crew. Another great addition to the Trump crew was Hulk Hogan. This moment, absolutely epic. Hulk Hogan making a triumphant return to Madison Square Garden, where he not only had one of the more epic entrances of the night, but he put to rest the total BS narrative being peddled by the leftist machine. Hulk followed Tucker Carlson. What a lineup. Listen.
You know something, Trump maniacs? I don't see no stinking Nazis in here. I don't see no stinking domestic terrorists in here. The only thing I see in here are a bunch of hard-working men and women that are real Americans, brother.
And he's right. That's the whole point. That's Americana right there in those stands. It's not what the left is saying, that they're fascists and racist. We'll get to that comedian in just a bit. But they call him fascist. They call him a Hitler. They call him a Nazi wannabe, Trump, they do. And I don't know if you can see this, though. Not a shred of truth, not a crumb of truth to any. The Israeli flag, do you have that control room? The Israeli flags were proudly presented on the inside of the stadium. They have flags of Israel. What Hitler wannabe is going to fly a freaking Jewish flag inside that venue? MSNBC thought it was all about Hitler. Watch.
But that jamboree happening right now, you see it there on your screen, in that place is particularly chilling because in 1939, more than 20,000 supporters of a different fascist leader, Adolf Hitler, packed the garden for a so-called pro-America rally, a rally where speakers voiced anti-Semitic rhetoric from a stage draped with Nazi banners. When a Jewish protester rushed the stage, the Associated Press reported, quote, instantly, a dozen or more stormtroopers set upon him, knocking him down and beating him as he held his head in his arms. Most of his clothing was torn from his body. Later, he was booked for disorderly conduct. Now, against that backdrop of history, Donald Trump, the man who has threatened to use the military against opponents he calls enemies from within, who has threatened to use the troops to quell what he says are lawless cities, and to use those troops to carry out mass deportations of immigrants, is once again turning Madison Square Garden into a staging ground for extremism.
So in 1940 in Madison Square Garden, there's some sort of Hitler Youth rally that went on, and MSNBC says 85 years later, arbitrarily. So what, Knicks are racist too? Well, I'm not sure. 85 years later, somehow Trump rally is a throwback to the Nazi. But did they forget? Did MSNBC forget that Bill Clinton also had a rally at Madison Square Garden in 1992? I'm pretty sure they didn't call him Hitler or racist or Nazi. MSNBC clearly got their marching orders loud and clear. The legacy media is officially an enemy of the people. That's it, plain and simple. Any platform, any media outlet that called this rally a Nazi rally is officially an enemy of the American people. And speaking of enemy of the people, not that anyone really takes anything tampon Tim Walz says too seriously, well, he tried to.
Donald Trump has descended into madness over the last few weeks. And I think some of you don't miss on this. Go do your Google on this. Donald Trump's got this big rally going at Madison Square Garden. There's a direct parallel to a big rally that happened in the mid-1930s at Madison Square Garden. And don't think that he doesn't know for 1 second exactly what they're doing there.
Go do your Google. Go do your Google. Is that what Tim? Tampon Tim. You know you're lost, Tim, when the mayor, the very Democrat mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, Tim, you guys are lost, comes out and defends your opponent, Donald Trump. Listen.
You know, I have been, had those terms hurled at me by some political leaders in the city, using terms like Hitler and fascist. My answer is no. I know what Hitler has done, and I know what a fascist regime looks like. I think, as I've called over and over again, that the level of conversation, I think we could all dial down the temperature. And I've heard people say that the former president should not be able to have a rally in Madison Square Garden. I strongly disagree.
I don't know. You see what's happening here? Watch out, Eric Adams. First, you come out against New York being pummeled as the sanctuary city. Oh, what happens? You get indicted. You get indicted immediately after. But then a second strike in the form of defending the Nazi Donald Trump. That won't go over well with the Democrat overlords. Leftist lawfare knows no bounds, Eric Adams. Meanwhile, everywhere she's been over the past few days, Kamala Harris has been met with boos or with abject indifference, sometimes interference.
As a nation, we face real challenges. We carry
I wanted to show you that because I remember in 2016 when Trump was running, and there was a lot of people, the left a lot of Hillary people planted themselves in his rallies, and they tried to disrupt the same way that these people were disrupting Kamala Harris's speeches, and Trump just handled it. He's like, get him out of here. He's going back to mommy. Go back to your basement. He handled those hecklers. She didn't know what to do. She has nowhere to go with it. She just laughs. She laughs. Really uncomfortable laugh. But I always dreamed America would start to see Kamala Harris, as we have for years, disingenuous, ill-equipped, a useless puppet for the Obama regime. But I never quite imagined just how low it would get. But, can't it?
Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. The path may seem hard, the work may seem heavy, but joy cometh in the morning, and church morning is on its way.
So she goes on Sunday. Was that Pastor Kamala? I don't know. Let me get this straight. We have Black Kamala. We have Hispanic Kamala. We have Jamaican Kamala from Coconut Trees. And now we got Pastor Kamala. Did I get all the Kamalas straight? Are there more Kamalas in the closet ready to come out? Will the real Kamala please stand up? Please stand up. Or is the cringy Eminem rapping only for one Barack Hussein Obama?
Now notice my palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, vomit on my sweater already, mom's spaghetti. I'm nervous, but on the surface I look calm and ready to drop bombs, but I keep on forgetting.
I find it cringy. I think the guy's a great speaker. I found that pretty cringy. If Kamala's the queen of cringe, that may have been the king of cringe, at least that moment right there. Maybe, just maybe, as opposed to the lies Kamala is spewing about Donald Trump being a fascist, Americans are finally onto her. Maybe they remember how Kamala Harris took a knee for George Floyd. Remember that? Bailing out those who were burning down and looting our stores on Main Street America. Remember? She put together a fund to bail out those criminals. But that same Kamala was nowhere to be found at the funerals honoring the 13 servicemen and women who died on her watch during that disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. Remember how Kamala told the ladies on The View that she wouldn't change a damn thing? She means that, by the way. And let's not forget who the real Kamala Harris is. Not the several versions of Kamala Harris that she puts herself out to America these days. Pastor Harris, Jamaican Harris, Black Harris, female Harris, Harry Harris. These days, but desperate, feeble attempts to get access to the Oval Office and the nuclear codes. This is the real Kamala Harris, who, without evidence, tried to smear a candidate for Supreme Court justice.
And then, do you agree that it is possible for men to both be friends with some women and treat other women badly?
Of course, but the point I've been emphasizing, and that is if you go back to age 14 for me, you will find people, and not just people, lots of people who I've been friends with, some of whom are in this room today, starting at age 14, women, and who talked about my friendships with them through my whole life. And it's a consistent pattern all the way through. 65 women who knew me more than 35 years ago signed a letter to support me after the allegation was made because they know me.
So that's Kamala Harris grilling Kavanaugh for his Supreme Court appointment. That same Kamala Harris who at that time and now was married to Doug Emhoff, who has been now widely reported that he hit his girlfriend so hard that her head spun around at one point and told the baby mama, his nanny, to abort the baby or else. Same one, okay? Pick one. Either go hard on it or go soft on it. But don't, when it's your husband, don't let him give him a pass and lean into Brett Kavanaugh. Just not right. Let's not forget this, even though Team Kamala Harris desperately wants us to.
I intend to fight for Black Lives Matter.
If Black Lives matter to her, why didn't I matter?
Because of truancy, California public schools lose $1.4 billion a year in funding.
I want money.
She had me arrested and prosecuted because my handicapped daughter was sick in the hospital and had missed some days of school. My message to all Americans, do not trust Kamala Harris.
Quite shocking. Very effective ad. How quickly and conveniently the media forgets what the real Kamala Harris is all about. You know what I find most shocking? You know, the toughest pill to swallow is this. We've watched and dissected her rallies, her interviews, her so-called town halls, with all of the questions handed over to her on a silver platter, well in advance likely. This woman was prepped. She was molded into the Democrat Party's vision, and this is what they produced. Kamala Harris actually knows less about policy, history, news, the economy, the world than your average American does. Americans who get your information from places like X or anywhere else, any of the legacy outlets even. There are millions of Americans who would be able to answer policy questions better than the candidate the party of lawlessness has propped up. And this woman was the number 2 in California, a senator, a vice president. What's shocking is how someone so utterly clueless, without a single thought of her own, that wasn't put in there so artificially, could be running for the highest office in all the land. I don't even think Kamala is intentionally trying to dupe America. She truly doesn't know anything. She has no answers to anything because she just doesn't know. She slithered her way through based on any number of identity politics is in her favor, woman of color, woman. She smiled and schmoozed her way through. And now, when she's supposed to have all of this knowledge based on her vast resume, she's stumped. Airball. Once upon a time, Kamala Harris was told to be a progressive. So that's what she was. Fracking? Absolutely not. Against that. Climate change? Biggest threat to the planet. We have to put lots of money towards climate change. Woke, be as woke as you possibly can be. Eat it for breakfast, guzzle it up for lunch, chomp it down for dinner. Woke with a side of woke, and woke on the rocks, hell, make it a double. But here we are in an identity crisis, a national identity crisis. But you see, the thing is that you can't have an identity crisis because it ends only in desperate and baseless attacks like we're seeing right now. You have to stand for something. When Joe Biden ran in 2020, you, Kamala, forced him to face the fire about his former policies, namely that crime bill he helped write and pass in 1994 with Bill Clinton. You called it racist, remember? You and your party called him out, and after all those years, he chose to backtrack. I believe that's when Joe lost his love for America, for protecting Americans and any real convictions he ever had. And there were few, by the way, but at least he had a few of them once upon a time. If Joe had just stood up for that bill like he always did in the past, things may be different.
Another thing about how perspectives change over time. Bobby Rush, member of Congress, said the other day, "I'm ashamed that I voted for the '94 crime bill." You ashamed of that bill?
Not at all. In fact, I drafted the bill, as you remember.
I know that.
So is there any substance at all to Kamala Harris? Well, it depends on what your definition of is. In my definition, in our definition, there simply is not. All I know is after what we saw last night, I really do think this woman should get those pipes ready. That crying lady, your moment, lady, is about to shine again.
What a great honor to be able to introduce for the first time ever anywhere the 45th President of the United States.
And very quickly, before we go on, I said I was going to reference this comedian that is creating quite a stir, certainly on the left. He came out and he introduced, and he had some really nasty things to say about Puerto Rico, about Hispanics, about blacks. I don't think, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, I don't know, I've called the campaign, no one's calling me back about it. They think they've put this to rest. I don't think that guy was vetted. I don't think anyone, I certainly know, Trump's a smart man. Trump is a media-savvy human being. There's no way Trump would have known that that guy was going to come out and insult Hispanics and blacks right before this big rally. Everything's going Trump's way right now. There's no way that that guy submitted those jokes in advance, which he should have. I don't care what you say. Don't give me this free speech crap. You're running an election, a campaign. Everyone who says something better submit their comments, because if you come back and say something stupid like this guy did, you better be able to say, well, we told him not to do that, and he did it on his own. I haven't heard that yet. So whoever put that guy on stage and didn't vet the jokes, that guy or gal should be held accountable for it. Well, you know what? This is where we keep you up to speed on all the other stuff. That rally was huge last night, but AOC was all over the place last night. You can count on AOC for some mind-numbing, totally inaccurate commentary about something she just so happens to disagree with.
This was a hate rally. Mm-hmm. This was not just a presidential rally. This was also not just a campaign rally. I think it's very important for people to understand that these are mini January 6th rallies. These are mini Stop the Steal rallies. These are rallies to prime an electorate into rejecting the results of an election if it doesn't go the way that they want. Because Donald Trump and that entire cadre of people up on that stage, Stephen Miller, et cetera, do not respect the law of the United States of America.
Sounds to me like the Democrats are absolutely terrified. Mini January 6th, AOC, give me a damn break. Does she really think that ridiculous rhetoric resonates with anyone? Trump just packed one of the country's premier venues in a deep, very, very deep blue state. That's your headline right there, period. Luckily for AOC, she isn't the only deranged lunatic making a total fool of themselves after the rally. You can always count on Mika Brzezinski to double down on any left-wing stupidity.
My point is, it's discouraging that so many people would gather and rally to hate speech in America. That it's discouraging and it hurts that people who have family in Puerto Rico, who are Puerto Rican Americans, who are American citizens, are hearing hate like that. It's discouraging. And it's not just, oh my gosh, about the race. It's, oh my gosh, how did we get here?
She looks like she's welling up, about to cry. I promise, no crying in sports or politics. You know that, right, Mika? I promise you, my dear Mika, it's all going to be okay. When Trump wins, even your life will be better, too. But I do wonder which of the remaining brain cells on the left decided to come up with this hate rally narrative. Well, if you needed any further proof that the radicals are coming unglued, listen to the one radical, Rhino Liz Cheney, on CNN telling the network to give us all what we've been asking for, more Trump. But listen.
I hope that that you guys play as much Donald Trump footage as you can over the course of the next 9 days or so, because the more the American people see him, the more they remember, you know, we cannot have a president who is unstable and depraved and cruel. And that's what Donald Trump proves himself to be every time he says things like that.
That sounds good. You hear that? State TV, you're getting your marching orders right there, live on air on national television. Make Donald Trump look a certain way. Take him out of context, media. Make him look fascist, make him look like a hater. You hear him? You hear what they're saying? They'll say it again for CNNers in the back.
And I am highly critical of 80% of the media coverage that tells me that I do not understand their jobs. I understand it clearly. Your job in Birmingham was not to cover Bull Connor and Martin Luther King equally. Your job after Pearl Harbor was not to cover Tojo and Franklin Roosevelt equally. And we have to understand that our existence as a constitutional republic is at severe risk here. And we have to explain it to people in plain, unambiguous, everyday language that our children are going to accept the consequences of our negligence and our fake fair coverage that people come out with. So that's what I think we should do between now and election.
All right, so they're losing it. They're literally coming unhinged. We got 8 days or so, and they're getting slammed. The polls are showing it. Take a listen to Kamala saying she doesn't really listen to the polls. Listen.
Can you give us a sense of your internal polling at the campaign and how that is making or influencing your decisions on what to do over the next 9 days?
So, to be very frank with you, my internal polling is my instinct. I let the campaign people deal with all that other stuff.
You know what that means? She's losing, and she's not looking at the polls. She says believe me, they're looking at all the polls, including their internal polls. All right, folks. Boom. Okay, so it's called Uncensored and a Truth Bomb because I have to be truthful with you. I'm going to let you listen to the soundbite and come some real hard truth on the backside of this soundbite. Listen.
There are a lot of angry, disillusioned people out there, upset with the slow pace of change. And I get it. It is reasonable to be frustrated. We all know we have a lot more work to do in this country. But to anyone out there thinking about sitting out this election or voting for Donald Trump or a third-party candidate in protest because you're fed up, let me warn you, your rage does not exist in a vacuum. If we don't get this election right, your wife, your daughter, your mother, we as women will become collateral damage to your rage. Remember, women, standing up for what is best for us can make the difference in this election. So let us use our voices in these final days to make it plain to the men in our lives that we need to stand not with Trump, but with us. We need them to vote for the only candidate in this race.
Come on. The reason why I wanted to see that is, let's be honest, want some truth here? She would have been the candidate to beat. She would have been the one that would give Trump the biggest run for his money. I don't know who would have won, who would have lost, but I would tell you, I think Trump's going to beat Harris. But if it were Michelle Obama, the money would have been flowing in. She's an articulate speaker. I hate her policy. I hate Obama policy. I hate everything about it. But the guy's a good talker. He's got people behind him, and she is also a very good speaker. She's the one that they should have gotten up there. I heard a quick story very quickly before we go. I heard a story that when they told Joe Biden he was going to have to step aside, the Democrat apparatus, including Obama, wanted a kind of a primary to happen. We heard that. But Joe Biden, in an FU back to Obama and them, said he endorsed Kamala Harris immediately so that there wouldn't be a primary because he knew what we are now finding out now, which we suspected that Kamala has nothing up there. So it's Joe Biden's FU back to them for asking him to step aside. Truth bomb, folks. And before we go, I just want to show you something. I'll bring this to you tomorrow, this Washington Post editorial that I want to talk about, but we're running out a little bit of time here. Pull up, if you can see that full screen of Truth Social. Yeah, let's show me the full screen of Trump Media and Trump Technology Group. Look at that, folks. The reason why I'm bringing that up is that stock is rallying. I believe that stock is rallying. Remember, the smartest people on Wall Street are the ones with the money. Those people are buying Trump and Truth Media because they believe Trump is going to win. Look at that price. It's like $45 a share again. It was down to 17 or so. People believe in that. That company, well, like him or not, is worth $9 billion. Not a guesstimate. It's the actual stock price times the amount of shares outstanding. It's called the float. The market cap on that stock is $9 billion. And some say there's a big bank, investment bank. Last week they came out and said that Twitter is only worth $11 billion. So somehow Trump has got Truth Social almost the same price as Twitter. I'll leave it right there. My friends, don't forget, always subscribe. 888-601-0032 is the number to call. I listen to them. We'll get some voicemails in tomorrow. But remember, subscribe wherever you're watching this. It helps us out a lot. Doesn't cost you a thing. We don't use it. Just want you to get the information as it comes. Easier to find us. Subscribe. Do us a huge favor. Help us out, folks. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.